Welcome to another Business Spotlight, where we share reflections, insights, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners. My name is Kerry James. I am a business coach and facilitator, and this afternoon I'm delighted to welcome MD of IN Accountancy based in Stockport. And it is, of course, Sarah Harkness. Good afternoon to you, Sarah. How are you this afternoon? Great to have you on.
Hi, Kerry. Thank you. Thanks so much for the invite. It's great to be on.
Well, you're very welcome. Let's get stuck straight in. In accountancy, there's a bit of a clue there in the title, of course, Sarah. But how
There
long
is.
have you been in business, please, and what sort of areas do you specialise in?
So, In Accountancy was established, well, pretty much 10 years ago. Um, but I suppose something that I should make clear right from the start is that I'm not an accountant. So my background's in strategy, sales, and marketing, and actually I did a spell as a business coach and business consultant many years ago now. But and I'm sure you'll appreciate. I see a copy of the E-Myth on the shelf behind you. I'm sure you'll appreciate what they say about, if you're a hairdresser, don't try and grow a hairdressing business because you get stuck doing the doing. And I got involved actually as a consultant to do some work with the founder of In Accountancy and to try and help him get that set up and introduced an acquisition and did too good a job of integrating that, and woke up one day with MD hat and shares going, how the heck did that happen, Rodney? But it does work in principle, because with not being an accountant, I can concentrate on working on the business and making sure that our team are focused on delivering exceptional service to our clients, and it frees them up as well and to concentrate on what they're good at.
And so, what sort of services do you mainly specialise in, or what might be an ideal client for you, Sarah? And hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm not asking too many questions at the same time. How might you differentiate yourself in the world of accountancy, if you like?
Oh, blimey, that's always a really difficult one. So, for your first question is, we look after owner managed businesses. So whether you're a sole trader or a limited company, you're an ideal client for us, really. We don't specialize in a particular sector, but we do have not sure I can say this online. I was going to say no something policy, but no numpties policy. Let's put it that way. I might be a bit more, yeah, I might say it slightly differently if it wasn't being recorded. But yeah, we work with nice people. That's the beauty, isn't it, of running your own business? You can make sure that you only work with people that you like. So we love clients who want to grow, who understand the need to know your numbers and understand your numbers, and that we like to work with and help. You said something else, but I've forgotten it already now.
So how do you differentiate?
Oh yes, that is the difficult one. It's really hard to say that. I think in some ways how we differentiate is the fact that both my business partner and I, Andy, and myself, we've both run other businesses. So most accountancy firms out there are run by accountants who have only ever been accountants in practice. My background, as you may know, is sort of big corporate. I was strategy, sales, and marketing in Adidas for a number of years. And then I ran my own coaching consulting business where I specialised in sales, marketing, strategy, culture for high growth small businesses. Andy is a chartered accountant by background. He did that for 30 years in practice. And then he ran another company as MD for 15 plus years, where he grew that from a turnover of about 250,000 to 6 million. So we've both sat on the other side of the table, and we've both run and grown small businesses ourselves. So we've got real life experience of some of the problems and challenges that our clients are going through. That makes sense?
Absolutely, yeah. So moving along then, Sarah, we're in kind of the third quarter, or just coming into the fourth quarter, actually, of course, of 2023. Time flies as usual.
Yes,
We've been through interesting times. I think it would be fair to say over the last
we sure have.
3 years or so, digital transformation and economic turmoil, interest rates, inflation, working from home, all the rest of it. How have all those environmental trends and dynamics, would you say, impacted on your industry and your business?
Massively, actually, massively. I mean, if we go back to, you know, to think about COVID, while people were out there on furlough having a lovely time, some of them we were very much concentrating on looking after our clients who were going through hell. We were very, very active around sort of understanding the information that was coming out from government and relaying that to our clients in a way that they understood and they can use. And, you know, while it wasn't done with this in mind, that actually had a knock-on effect, I think, of people really feeling like we did want to help, we were there to help them, and it made us a lot better known in some ways. But I was working 16-hour days. It was, it was incredibly difficult to manage, especially with, being a single parent of two small children. Well, they're not small actually, but they were 15 and 13 at that time. So that was hard. That was a balancing act. In terms of other changes, again, we have clients on all sides of the spectrum in terms of how well they're doing. We've always tried to make it clear to our clients that they need to have a war chest. They need to understand the cash flow in their business. They need to have money set aside in order, to be able to survive and then thrive through difficult economic times. It's not always easy for clients to have that. And what we find, which I'm sure you've found as well in your line of work, that quite often it's not a certain industry or type of business that is negatively impacted. It's often an attitude. So we found that the businesses that have been most successful through difficult economic times are the ones who have said, or had the attitude of, okay, this has happened, but it's happened across the board. I'm not the only person necessarily it's happened to. What do I need to do to come out of here? And it's the ones that struggle are the ones who have gone, well, this has happened, I'm stuck. So it's, while it is heartbreaking to see those who have difficulties, it's very interesting to step back and go, wow, two people can have exactly the same experience or exactly the same difficult thing happen. And actually it's how they respond to that, it's how they approach it that determines the outcome. So we really make an effort and a point of trying to help people see that there is another way, or that there is a potentially positive that you can take from any given situation, no matter how difficult it might be, and move out through that.
So
in terms of
sorry, go ahead.
Go on ahead. I was just going to say, in terms of digitization and AI, that's impacted our industry massively, absolutely massively. And maybe, it's another benefit of me not being an accountant, and certainly not being a maybe a typical accountant's personality, is I embrace it. I'm one of those, yep, change, bring it on. I can get bored a little bit easily. So I love to explore new things, and I love to look at how we can potentially use something for the better. But then I need my team of people. I can have the ideas, but I'm not good at pushing through the processes and getting, not a completer finisher, should I say. So I'm lucky to have a great team of people that whenever I can see a vision or can see how something can work, then I can get them in to make it sure it does actually work, and it follows through, if that makes sense.
So I'm not asking you to give any secrets or any strategies away, Sarah, but how might you see AI benefiting either your circumstances or your helping with your clients?
I think it already has in ways that we're not, that maybe we weren't calling AI. Digitalization, as you mentioned earlier, really a lot of that in the accountancy world is about technology. It's about the apps out there whereby you can, I don't know, scan your receipts, the Dex or HubDoc, things like that integrate with an accounting platform where you can scan things through and they can interpret it, and they are, that is an example of AI, because they're learning all of the time. And there are a lot more apps out there where you can start to automate some of the things within the business and pull out the relevant information. So we're working, really hard with some clients and into developing some really strong reporting for them, by using machine learning to I suppose challenge, I can't think of the right word here, but challenge the data and bring out the relevant data into the report, and then we can use our human brains to ask the questions, rather than all of the time that we spend on something being taken on working with the data. That again makes sense. So you can use more human intelligence and the softer skills to actually think about, well, what does this information tell us? What's the story that the numbers tell, and how can we use that information in order to make better decisions going forward?
Okay, so moving along then to where In Accountancy is now and where you're trying to get to in the journey you're on, Sarah. What do you say are the main challenges to the business today?
Main challenges are probably there is a shortage of great qualified accountants out there in the UK, in the marketplace at the moment. We're lucky to have a really, really good team, and we've got a really good training strategy and system for young people coming through. But we are a reasonably fast-growing business, and that requires qualified people, but qualified people who are not just great accountants, but great people, because business is all about people. So for us and for me, our business isn't a business of looking retrospectively at compliance numbers that HMRC want to see. Our business is about relationships with business owners, and and looking after them and talking to them, being able to multitask, being able to communicate, to have multiple deadlines, multiple pieces of work going. So some people can do that really, really well, and some people, more traditional auditors and accountants, seem to prefer to just have one thing that they're working on at one time. And for us being a small dynamic business, that's not going to work for us. So it's finding great people that have both the attention to detail that you need, and the experience that you need, but also that little something that is the people element.
Yes, brings disc profiling to mind. I'm sure you're familiar with having that.
It does indeed, absolutely. Guess what I am?
A high eye. Anyway, moving along to the next question, if that's okay, rather than exploring that particular avenue.
Yeah.
Aspirations for In Accountancy. Where do you see In Accountancy in the kind of 3 to 5 year horizon, would you say? Where would you like the business to be?
Yeah, I mean, we've been achieving double-digit percentage growth every year since we started, and that's always been organic. So we intend to continue to grow. We in terms of turnover, but also in terms of profitability. I'd like us to get to the stage where we are doing a lot more in the community. We're already, very keen to work with local businesses, but I'd like to do a lot more sort of hosting of events, looking after people, connecting people with one another, but also, growing the business. So within the next 5 to 7 years, I would expect that we'll have doubled the turnover of the company, and continue to grow and to really look after predominantly local owner-managed businesses.
What sort of size have you got on the team at the moment, then, Sarah, in terms of numbers of people?
We are. We've actually just had this morning. We've just had our photographer in to take photos of 6 new additions who have started since. I think Dale joined us in the middle of June. Wow. And Callum came in, who will join us on the 1st of November. So in that time, we've had 6 new starts. That brings us to 20 in the team, right. Which, and we always kind of said we didn't want to go above sort of 20 to 25 people, but I suspect we probably will. And that brings its own challenges, but we've got such a great team of people that that I see it working well.
I can't remember what book it's from, Sarah, but I certainly remember you mentioned doubling in size over the next 5 years, so you might be okay. I think there was a theory from one book that 50 is really that kind of threshold in terms of numbers of how you need to really kind of change what you do and how you do it once you get to that type of number. But
yeah, I've heard different schools of thought. My business partner seems to think it's about 25 to 30, because then you need that layer of management that just manage people and people to do the work, so they're not necessarily having an output for their salaries, and especially whenever accountancy simply is a business where it's a time for money exchange to a certain extent. That's all we've got to sell is our expertise and our time and the time that it takes to do something. But yeah, certainly I would definitely not see us being in that size, that 50 employee size. I think, and I'm sure you can do it. I haven't done it, but I want to make sure that our culture remains strong, that our focus on looking after clients really well, communicating really well, remains really strong. And to do that, you've got to be able to, I suppose, delegate and ensure that ethos and that culture runs through the whole team and isn't just stuck with a senior management layer.
Well, I guess if you can, continue to build your systems, hopefully you'll be able to double your revenues, obviously without doubling the number of people in the business, which obviously links back to the profitability point you were making.
One would hope so. I mean, we do see a step change in some of our young people as they come through, and because we train them very carefully at the start, but they're doing an awful lot of admin work, and then suddenly they've been with us a year or two, and you see them start to step up and really own work. And we've always had quite a flat structure, which means that our team have learned from, I mean, I'm 50 now, Kerry. My business partner is 10 years older than me, and so that they've learned very directly from us, a lot of them, and we just want to make sure that as we grow, that all of our team steps up, and we don't lose that piece of the real commercial experience that we bring to the table.
So you mentioned your experience there, Sarah, and if you were starting again as an MD or as a business owner, what would you say the main things that you've learned, or the most important things that you've learned, if you were starting today as an MD, knowing what you know now?
That is a very good question. There's loads. There's probably loads. I think there are two that spring to mind straight away. One is trust your instinct. Especially if you're starting out as an MD with 20 odd years experience as I had working in working environments. Trust your instinct. If something doesn't feel right, there's probably a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't ignore it. The times I've made my worst decisions is when I've let my head overrule my gut, I think. So really trust your instinct, and and look to people, look to your wider network for the support, or to have that peer. Find a coach like yourself, find somebody that has perhaps experience that you don't have, that you can bounce the ideas off, or you can just say, this doesn't feel right and I don't know why, and they'll help you explore that.
Mm-hmm.
So trusting yourself and your instinct is one thing. And the other, and this is going to sound so daft to you, because I should have known this right from, I did know this, but knowing and doing are two different things, aren't they? Begin with the end in mind. Think of yourself as a bigger organization. I remember having lunch with my old MD at Adidas not long after it was quite a while after I'd left, but wasn't long after I got involved with IN Accountancy. And I was like, oh, Jill, managing 8 people is so much more difficult than managing 40. Why is that? And he just laughed at me. And I think it was because in a small business, when it's your business, the way you portray it and what people think is that, you know, every decision comes down to you. Whereas in an Adidas, in a big corporate, you know, you just tell people that no, you can't do this, or yes, you can do that. And it's because that's the business decision. Whereas I think I certainly felt everything was very personal whenever it's a small business. And therefore, if I was saying no to something, it was me personally saying no and not the business. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, so I think now, as you know, as we grow, I'm having to put things in place now that are kind of saying, actually, no, this is what the business says about this. It's not me, it's what the business says. So it's and the non-exec we were working with put it a much better way, and he talked about, you know, accountability levels. And actually, ultimately, you know, I'm accountable to the business. So it's not that necessarily the buck stops with me, the buck stops with the business. So we need to, in order to delegate properly and to let go of certain things, we need to make sure that the people that we are delegating to understand that actually they're accountable to the business.
Absolutely. I was running a workshop this morning with a client, and I used 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was more about putting things first, but beginning with the end in mind was certainly part of the theme as well. So
yeah,
good to hear that in more of a kind of practical situation, Sarah. So great. Well, thanks ever so much for your time, Sarah, and sharing
really
your journey.
Yeah.
One final question, if I may. If there's anybody who watching Business Spotlight that's interested in a follow-up discussion and hearing more about In Accountancy, what might you suggest as a next step?
Well, either give us a buzz, Google us, or you can certainly share contact details. Always happy to have a chat, always happy to have a coffee, no obligation. Or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook a bit for business, but I'm much better on LinkedIn. And of course, we've got a YouTube channel, which I cringe every time I say that, but I've been told I need to tell people more that we've got a good YouTube channel with lots of videos and top tax tips, which is not very easy for me to say.
Well, now people are intrigued as to why you're cringing it, so that might encourage them to go and have a look at it, Sarah. So excellent. Well, we'll put the URL to In Accountancy with the videos that we put on the social streams. And once again, thanks ever so much for your time, your input, and all the very best with In Accountancy.
Thanks a million, Karen. All the best to you. It's been really good to catch up.
Thank you. Bye for now.